As a man, I believe that in relationships, each of us deserves respect, care, and understanding. However, there are certain things that no man should tolerate from a woman, as they can negatively impact his self-esteem, emotional well-being, and overall relationship health. 1. Lack of respect for a man's personal boundaries and space can have various manifestations that can have a negative impact on his emotional state and relationships in general. Firstly, this may be due to the violation of his physical space. Each person has their own preferences regarding intimacy and physical contact. For example, some men may feel uncomfortable when their partner constantly demands physical contact or enters their personal space without warning. Their wishes and boundaries in this regard must be respected so as not to cause discomfort or conflict. Secondly, this may also be due to a violation of his time boundaries and independence. A man can have his own interests, hobbies, work, and social life that he values and wants to develop. For example, constant demands to be always available or control over his time without his consent can create tension and resentment. Respecting his personal boundaries in this aspect includes allowing him to make his own decisions about how he wants to spend his time and with whom he associates. It is also important to respect his emotional boundaries. A man may prefer to solve his problems on his own or communicate about them only at certain times or in certain settings. For example, constant demands to sort things out or discuss problems at inappropriate times can cause irritation and even avoidance of such conversations in the future. Ultimately, respecting a man's personal boundaries and space in a relationship means respecting his individuality, his needs, and his right to self-determination. This creates the basis for a healthy, equal, and sustainable relationship where each partner feels comfortable and respected. 2. Manipulation and threats in relationships are a serious problem that can cause quite deep and long-term consequences. No man and no woman should have to deal with these types of influences in their relationships. Let's look at why this is so important and what forms of manipulation and threats can occur. Emotional manipulation. This may involve using feelings of guilt, fear, or resentment to achieve one's goals. For example, threats of suicide if the man tries to end the relationship, or deliberately making him feel guilty about something he didn't do in order to get something from him. Financial manipulation. This includes controlling a partner's finances, threatening to withdraw their financial support, or even using their funds without consent. This can be especially damaging since financial independence is an important part of many men's self-esteem. Social and psychological threats. This may include threats of isolation from friends and family, public humiliation, or threats to discover his secrets or intimate details of his life. This creates an atmosphere of fear and control that puts pressure on his emotional well-being. Physical threats. This is the most serious form of manipulation and involves threats of violence or the use of physical force to achieve one's goals. This not only damages physical health, but also destroys trust and security in relationships. Manipulation and threats in relationships are a form of control and violation of the partner's boundaries. They create a toxic atmosphere that inhibits healthy relationships and personal growth. It is important to understand that no one deserves to be the target of such influences, and it is important to set boundaries and, if necessary, seek support from professionals or close friends. In a healthy relationship, there is no place for manipulation and threats, only mutual respect and support. 3. Constant criticism and humiliation in a relationship can have a detrimental effect on a man's self-esteem, confidence, and emotional state. This not only damages his psychological well-being, but also creates distance and mistrust in the relationship. Here are a few things to consider when talking about constant criticism and humiliation in a relationship. Emotional consequences. Constant criticism can leave a man feeling unappreciated, helpless, and even depressed. He may begin to doubt his abilities and become unsure of himself. Humiliation can lead to feelings of shame and despair. Broken trust, criticism, and humiliation can undermine trust in a relationship. A man may begin to hide his thoughts, feelings, and actions from his partner for fear of being judged or insulted. This creates barriers to communication and mutual understanding. Infringement of personality, constant criticism and humiliation can infringe on a man's personality. He may feel like he is being manipulated and controlled rather than being an equal partner in the relationship. This can lead to a loss of identity and self-determination. Cycle of violence, criticism, and humiliation can become part of the cycle of violence in a relationship. Criticism is often followed by an apology and a promise to change, but then it all happens again. This cycle can become vicious and difficult to break, especially if a man feels isolated and dependent on his partner. It is important to remember that constructive criticism can be beneficial for the growth and development of relationships if it is based on respect and support. However, constant humiliation and contempt only destroys relationships and can cause serious harm to both partners. In a healthy relationship, each partner should feel respected, supported, and loved. 4. Refusal to communicate and ignoring a man's feelings in a relationship can cause serious problems and negative consequences. Mutual communication plays an important role in establishing and maintaining healthy relationships, and ignoring feelings can lead to disappointment, distance, and even conflict. Let's look at what the consequences may be and how this may affect the relationship. Misunderstandings and dissatisfaction. Communication is the basis for understanding and mutual respect in a relationship. When a man feels that his feelings and opinions are being ignored, he may begin to feel misunderstood and unimportant to his partner. This can lead to dissatisfaction and a deterioration in the overall mood of the relationship. Increasing conflicts. Ignoring a man's feelings can lead to the accumulation of negative emotions and disappointment. Ultimately, this can result in serious conflicts and arguments, as a man may become more inclined to express his dissatisfaction through confrontation if he feels that his feelings are being ignored. Loss of trust. When a man feels that his feelings are being ignored, it can undermine the trust he has in his partner. He may begin to hide his thoughts and feelings for fear of being ignored or judged again. This creates barriers in relationships and can lead to gradual withdrawal from each other. Worsening emotional state. Directly ignoring feelings can make a man feel lonely, alienated, and even depressed. He may begin to feel insignificant and unworthy of love and attention. This can lead to a deterioration in his emotional state and overall well-being. It is important to understand that open and reciprocal communication is the key to a healthy and sustainable relationship. Partners must be willing to listen to each other, respect each other's feelings and opinions, and strive to solve problems and resolve conflicts together. Ignoring a man's feelings only deepens the distance and creates barriers in the relationship, while openness and understanding contribute to the growth and development of love and mutual understanding. 5. Disrespect for a man's achievements and ambitions can have serious consequences for his self-esteem, motivation, and overall well-being. It is important to recognize and support his efforts and successes to create an atmosphere of mutual respect and support in the relationship. Let's look at the impact that disrespect for his achievements and ambitions can have. Damaged self-esteem. When a man feels that his achievements are not recognized or even belittled, this can lead to his self-esteem being damaged. He may begin to doubt his abilities and worth as a person. Lack of recognition can undermine his self-confidence and motivation to further success. Undermining motivation. Not respecting his ambitions and efforts can cause him to lose motivation and passion for his work or hobbies. If a man feels that his efforts will not be appreciated anyway, he may lose interest in achieving new goals and developing his skills. Distance in a relationship. When a partner does not recognize or support a man's ambitions, it can create distance and discord in the relationship. A man may feel that his partner does not support his goals and aspirations, which can lead to tension and dissatisfaction in the relationship. Loss of mutual respect. Disrespect for a man's achievements and ambitions can lead to a loss of mutual respect in a relationship. If a partner does not acknowledge the hardships and efforts a man puts into his goals, it can cause disappointment and loss of trust in her as a partner. It is important to emphasize that support and recognition of a man's successes and ambitions in a relationship creates an atmosphere of mutual respect and trust. This helps strengthen the bond between partners and promotes their joint growth and development. Partners must be willing to support each other in achieving their goals and aspirations in order to create a healthy, equal, and sustainable relationship. Ultimately, relationships should be based on mutual respect, understanding, and support for each other. No person deserves to be manipulated, humiliated, or ignored. The desire for mutual understanding and respect in a couple creates the basis for a happy and healthy relationship where each partner can open up and develop.